I was 6 months pregnant, halfway through pretending chicken piccata still sounded appetizing, when my husband walked into the restaurant with his ex-wife. Not behind her. Not near her. With her. And his hand was resting on her lower back like it had rented the space. I was sitting across from Brooke at a small Italian place in downtown Charleston, the kind with warm lights, tiny tables, and waiters who say, "Excellent choice." Even when you order water because pregnancy has turned your stomach into a committee with bad opinions. Brooke had dragged me out because she said I needed a normal dinner. Normal, in my life at that point, meant no back pain, no baby app notifications comparing my daughter to vegetables, and no one asking if we had picked a name yet. So, naturally, my husband arrived with the woman he used to be married to. Evan was laughing when he came in. That was what I noticed first. Not Claire's cream dress, not the pearls, not even his hand. The laugh, a real laugh. The kind he hadn't given me much lately. With me, he had become careful, soft, tired, like marriage had turned into a hallway he was trying not to make noise in. Claire said something and he bent his head toward her. That tiny movement did something ugly to my chest. Brooke stopped talking in the middle of a sentence. "What?" she asked. I couldn't answer. She turned around. Then she said, very quietly, "Oh." Brooke was a lawyer. She could destroy a man using punctuation, but apparently even she needed 1 second to let the disaster introduce itself. The hostess led them straight past our table. Claire saw me first. Her eyes dropped to my belly, then came back to my face, then away. Too fast. That was when Evan finally looked over. He stopped. His hand fell from Claire's back, a little late for dignity, but men do love arriving after the damage. "Natalie," he said. Soft voice. Guilty mouth. I picked up my water glass because my fingers needed something to hold that wasn't my own pride cracking. Brooke leaned toward me and whispered, "Don't throw it unless you're emotionally ready for depositions." I looked at Evan, then at Claire, then at the empty table waiting behind them. "So," I said, "is this your hospital vendor dinner?" No one answered. My daughter kicked me hard under the ribs. Good. At least one person in my family still had timing. Evan took 1 step toward me, then stopped. Smart. Late, but smart. Claire stood behind him with her purse clutched in both hands, looking like she wanted the floor to open up and offer a better reservation. Brooke folded her arms. "Before anyone starts lying," she said, "I'd just like to say I'm sober, licensed, and very attentive." Evan ignored her. "Natalie, can we talk outside?" I looked at him. "Outside?" "Yes." "You walked into the restaurant with your ex-wife, touched her, like a man testing old muscle memory, and now you want privacy?" His jaw tightened. "That's not fair." That almost made me laugh. Fair. I was 6 months pregnant, wearing maternity jeans with a waistband large enough to shelter a small village, and my husband wanted to discuss fairness. Claire spoke before I could. "It's my fault. I asked him to meet." I turned to her. "Did you ask him to put his hand on your back too, or was that included with the appetizer?" Brooke made a small choking sound into her napkin. Evan lowered his voice. "Nat, please." I hated that. Nat. He used it when he wanted me softer, easier, less likely to ask questions with witnesses nearby. I put one hand on my belly. Our daughter had gone still, which somehow made me more aware of her. "You told me you had a hospital vendor dinner," I said. "I did." Claire looked at him. That was the first tiny crack, not in their story, in his control of it. I saw it. Brooke saw it too. She shifted in her chair like a woman who had just smelled smoke. Claire said, "Evan." He closed his eyes. "Don't." "Don't what?" I asked. The waiter appeared beside us with the timing of a man walking into a crime scene holding Parmesan. "Everything okay here?" Brooke said, "No, but we're not suing the restaurant." He backed away slowly. Good survival instinct. Claire swallowed. "I didn't know he hadn't told you." My chest tightened. "Told me what?" Evan said her name again, sharper this time. "Claire." She looked at me, and for the first time I realized she wasn't embarrassed because I caught them. She was embarrassed because she knew something I didn't. Then she said it. "I called him about the baby." For a second, the whole restaurant seemed to tilt. My hand pressed harder against my stomach. "What baby?" Evan didn't answer. And there are silences that explain more than words ever could. For 1 stupid second, I thought Claire meant my baby. Pregnancy does that to your brain. Every baby becomes your baby. Someone says, the baby, and suddenly your entire nervous system stands up like a nosy neighbor at the blinds. I kept my hand on my stomach. What baby? I asked again. Claire looked at Evan. Evan looked anywhere else. Very helpful. Very husband-shaped. Brooke leaned forward, her voice low. Evan, this would be a fantastic time to discover honesty. Claire took a breath. I was pregnant after Evan and I separated. The words came out carefully, like she had carried them too long and didn't want to drop them wrong. I stared at her. Separated. That word had done a lot of work in my marriage. Evan always said his divorce had been finished before me. Not legally, maybe, but emotionally. That was his favorite little decoration. Emotionally divorced. Emotionally done. Emotionally available. Men really do add emotionally to anything and expect it to become a clean shirt. When? I asked. Evan rubbed his forehead. Natalie, this is not the place. I looked around the restaurant. The couple 2 tables over was pretending to read the menu upside down. The waiter had vanished, probably to tell the kitchen we'd become a live podcast. This is exactly the place, I said. You picked it? Claire's voice softened. It was after he started seeing you. My stomach went tight. Not the baby. Me. My body suddenly felt too small to hold everything. Evan said, it wasn't like that. Brooke laughed once. Not kindly. It never is, somehow. Claire pulled a folded paper from her purse. I didn't come here to hurt you. I asked him to tell you before your daughter was born. My daughter. That landed harder than it should have, because Claire said it like she already understood the thing Evan didn't. A child should not be born into a story with missing pages. I looked at the paper. What is that? Hospital records, Claire said. And an email, from him. Evan reached for it. Brooke's hand moved first, flat on the table. Touch that paper and I'll become very professionally unpleasant. He stopped. Claire placed it beside my plate. My chicken piccata sat there cooling under lemon sauce, innocent and ruined. I didn't open the paper yet. I couldn't. Not with Evan staring. Not with my daughter kicking once, small and sharp, like even she knew this was bigger than dinner. I looked at Evan. You told me Claire was unstable. His face went pale. Claire closed her eyes. And that was how I knew. The lie wasn't just about what happened, it was about who he had made her become, so I wouldn't listen. I didn't open Claire's paper in the restaurant. I wanted to. My hands didn't. They had turned into 2 useless decorative items at the ends of my arms. Brooke picked up the folded paper and slid it into her purse like she was protecting classified documents instead of my collapsing marriage. We're leaving, she said. Evan stepped forward. Natalie, don't walk out like this. I stared at him. Like what? Pregnant? Embarrassed? Underinformed? His mouth tightened. Claire looked down. The waiter returned with 2 takeout boxes and the haunted face of a man who had seen too much while holding Parmesan. Do y'all want the check? Brooke grabbed it. I'll pay. Consider this my contribution to evidence preservation. Outside, Charleston's evening air was sticky and warm, the kind that makes your skin feel like it has opinions. I stood on the sidewalk with one hand on my belly and the other pressed against the side of Brooke's car. Evan followed us out. Of course he did. Men love chasing after the scene they created once witnesses start leaving. Nat, please. I turned. You keep saying please like it's a plan. He looked wounded. I hated that I noticed. I was going to tell you, he said. When? He didn't answer. Brooke unlocked her car. Great timeline, very detailed. Claire stayed near the restaurant door. She looked like she wanted to disappear and stay responsible at the same time. I understood that more than I wanted to. I got into Brooke's passenger seat. Only then did I unfold the paper. Hospital record. Claire's name, date, pregnancy confirmation. Then another record weeks later. Miscarriage management. My breath caught in a weird little place behind my ribs. I was angry at Evan, but the word miscarriage pulled something quieter out of me. Pain recognizes pain, even when it arrives through a woman you were told not to trust. I turned the page. Emergency contact, Evan Whitmore. Relationship, husband. The date was 3 weeks after my first weekend trip with Evan to Savannah. I remembered that trip too clearly. The pralines, the hotel balcony. Evan telling me he had never felt that peaceful with anyone. Peaceful? Apparently his piece had paperwork. On the back, Claire had written one line. He told me you knew we were still legally married. I closed my eyes. Evan had told her I knew. He had told me she was unstable, efficient, really. If lying were a trade school, my husband would have graduated with honors. My phone buzzed. Evan, please come home. I can explain before this gets bigger. I looked down at my stomach. Our daughter shifted under my palm. I typed back, it's already bigger. I'm carrying it. Then I turned off my phone before he could make me read another sentence shaped like damage control. Brooke took me to her house because she said my place had too much husband in the air. I didn't argue. Honestly, I could still smell Evan on my sweater. His laundry soap. His cologne. That warm, familiar smell that had no right to still feel like home while my life was trying to fold in half. Brooke's guest room looked like a magazine had briefly visited and then given up. Clean sheets, one crooked lamp, a stack of books on the nightstand, and a chair covered in clothes she called transitional storage. I sat on the bed with Claire's papers in my lap. Brooke brought me crackers, water, and a chocolate bar. For the baby, she said. The baby can't eat chocolate. Then legally you are her representative. So I ate it. Half the bar disappeared before dignity could object. For a while I didn't cry. That made me feel broken in a new way. I thought I should be sobbing, screaming, something useful. Instead, I kept reading the same hospital date until the numbers started looking fake. Pregnancy is rude like that. Your marriage can collapse and your body still interrupts with heartburn. My phone lit up again. Evan, then his mother. Patricia? Honey, Evan says there was a misunderstanding. Please don't stress yourself for the baby. I stared at the message. There it is, Brooke said, reading over my shoulder. Weaponized concern. I handed her the phone because my hand wanted to throw it. The next morning, Claire texted, I know you don't owe me anything, but if you want the full story, I'll meet you without him. I read it 3 times. I did not want coffee with my husband's ex-wife. That sentence alone sounded like something women were punished with in Greek mythology. But I wanted the truth. Apparently, truth does not arrive with comfortable seating arrangements. We met at a bakery near King Street. Brooke came with me naturally because she had promoted herself from best friend to legal scarecrow. Claire was already there, no pearls this time, hair pulled back, looking less like a threat and more like a person who hadn't slept. She placed another envelope on the table. Evan lied to both of us, she said. I nodded. That does seem to be his area of personal excellence. Claire gave a tired smile. Then she pulled out an email. From Evan to her. Subject, please stop contacting me. The date was 2 weeks after my first anniversary with him. The first line made my stomach turn. Natalie can never know what happened between us. The email sat between us on the bakery table. 1 page. A few lines, enough to make 4 years of my life feel like a badly labeled file. Natalie can never know what happened between us. I read it again, which was stupid. Reading pain twice does not make it polite. Brooke slid my tea closer. Drink. I'm not thirsty. You're pregnant. Hydrate while emotionally detonating. I took a sip. Claire watched me carefully. I didn't like that she looked kind. I would have preferred smug. Smug is easier to hate. Kind makes the whole situation unnecessarily complicated, and frankly, I had enough swelling already. What did he mean? I asked. Claire rubbed her thumb along the edge of her cup. After the miscarriage, I wasn't okay. I was angry, grieving, embarrassed, which is ridiculous, but grief makes you feel guilty for breathing wrong. I looked down. That sentence got under my skin, because I knew that kind of shame. Different shaped, same nasty little teeth. Evan kept coming by, she said. Groceries, doctor appointments, paperwork, and dating me. Yes, no excuse, no decoration, just yes. I almost respected it, almost. He told me you knew we were still legally married, she said. He said you were fine with it because the marriage was over. I laughed once. Fine, right. I'm known for being casual about hidden wives. Brooke muttered, very chill, barely legal. Claire's mouth twitched, then fell again. He told you I was unstable? I looked at her. Yes. She nodded like she had expected that, but it still hurt. That was his favorite word for me after I stopped being useful. The bakery noise moved around us. Espresso machine, chairs scraping, someone ordering a cinnamon roll like civilization still had structure. Claire pulled out another email. This one was from her to Evan. You don't get to make me the villain just because you're ashamed. I stared at that line. Because there it was. The whole thing. Evan hadn't just lied about timing. He had assigned roles. Claire was unstable. I was understanding. He was trapped, noble, conflicted. Men like Evan never stand in the mess. They direct it from the doorway. My phone buzzed. A voicemail transcript from him appeared. Please, Nat, don't let Claire poison this. Think about our daughter. Our daughter. I put one hand on my belly. If he could rewrite Claire to me and me to Claire, what would he tell our daughter one day? That I was dramatic? That I kept her from him? That truth was too complicated for a child? I folded the email slowly, then I looked at Claire. I need everything. She nodded. I brought copies. Brooke leaned back. Well, she said, at least one ex-wife came prepared. I went home that afternoon with Brooke and a folder full of Claire's copies. Also pastries. I don't remember buying them, but apparently my crisis personality believes almond croissants are legal support. Brooke pulled into my driveway and turned off the car. Evan was sitting on the porch. Of course. Same gray sweater, same tired face, same man I had married, except now every familiar thing about him felt borrowed. He stood up fast. Natalie, Brooke got out first. Careful, she said. She's pregnant, informed, and I had caffeine. Evan barely looked at her. I need to talk to my wife. Brooke smiled. Bold use of the word wife today. I walked past him and unlocked the front door. Inside, the house smelled like lemon candle and laundry soap. Normal smells. Stupid smells. The kind that make betrayal feel more insulting because the room refuses to act devastated. Evan followed me into the kitchen. I set the folder on the island. He saw Claire's name on the first page. His mouth tightened. She had no right to give you that. I stared at him. That was his first sentence. Not I'm sorry, not I lied, not are you okay? She had no right. I almost admired the consistency. Evan could find the wrong door in any room. She had every right to correct the story you wrote for her, I said. He rubbed his forehead. You don't understand what happened back then. I understand dates. That's not fair. There's that word again. You keep using it like you're applying for victimhood. Brooke made a tiny sound behind me. I opened the folder. Savannah, I said. His face changed. There it was. The trip, the pralines, the hotel balcony. Him telling me I made his life peaceful while his legal wife was recovering from a miscarriage and apparently being told I knew about her. I was confused, he said. No, Evan, you were covered. He flinched. Good, maybe not good. I don't know. I was 6 months pregnant and emotionally holding a shovel. My ethics were not at their finest. He reached for my hand. I stepped back. Don't. His eyes moved to my belly. That's my daughter too. The sentence hit me in a place I wasn't ready for. Because it was true. And because he used it like a shield. Yes, I said, which means she deserves better than your edited version of everything. He swallowed. I love you. I wanted that to fix something. It didn't. Love without truth suddenly felt like furniture made of cardboard. I looked at the folder between us. Did you marry me because you loved me? I asked. Or because I believed the version of you Claire stopped believing? He didn't answer. And I hated how loud that silence was. I slept in the nursery that night. Not in the crib, obviously. Though I did look at it for a second and think, honestly, it seemed more structurally reliable than my marriage. I sat in the rocking chair with one hand on my belly and one hand holding the tiny yellow sock from the baby shower. The one with the crooked duck face. I used to think it was cute. Now it looked suspicious. Even the duck seemed like it knew too much. Evan was in the guest room. Brooke was on the couch downstairs because she said leaving me alone with a man in revision mode was not happening under her watch. At 3:12 a.m., I woke up to Evan's voice in the hallway. Low, angry. I didn't move at first. Then I heard Claire's name. My stomach went tight. I opened the nursery door just enough to see him pacing near the stairs with his phone pressed to his ear. No, Claire, he whispered. You don't get to do this and act like the good person. Pause. You blew up my family. My family. I stepped into the hallway. Put it on speaker. He turned so fast he nearly dropped the phone. Natalie. Speaker. He stared at me. For the first time since the restaurant, the guilty soft version of him disappeared. No sad eyes. No careful voice. There he was, the man who edited people until they fit his story. He ended the call. I laughed once. Brave. Hanging up on the truth in real time. He shoved the phone into his pocket. You don't know what she's like. I know what you told me she was like. That's not the same thing. His mouth opened. Closed. Good. We were learning. From downstairs, Brooke called. I'm awake, by the way. The couch has terrible lumbar support, and your lies carry. Evan closed his eyes. Perfect. Audience participation. He lowered his voice. We need to move forward. I looked into the nursery, the half-painted wall, the unopened diapers, the crib with one screw Evan had installed wrong and insisted was extra support. Sure. Engineering by optimism. No, I said. He blinked. No, we don't move forward until I know what I'm carrying her into. His face changed then. Fear. Finally something honest. I went downstairs and opened the shared calendar on his laptop. Evan followed me too fast. Natalie, don't. I searched Claire's name. Nothing. Then I searched only the letter C. 3 deleted events appeared in gray. Dinner, C. Call, C. Legal follow-up. The last one was dated 2 weeks before our wedding. I looked at him. He whispered, I can explain. I nodded. I know. That's the problem. The words sat there on the laptop screen. Legal follow-up. 2 weeks before our wedding. I had been finalizing flowers then, arguing with a florist about ivory versus cream like a woman who thought the biggest risk in her future marriage was beige. Evan reached for the laptop. Brooke appeared behind with a raccoon hearing a trash can open. Hands off, she said. He froze. I clicked the deleted event. No notes. Of course, men who hide things love minimalism. But there was an attachment icon beside it. I opened it. A PDF loaded slowly because apparently even the internet wanted suspense. The document title appeared first. Separation Liability Review. Claire's name, Evan's name. My mouth went dry. Brooke leaned closer. Oh, I dislike this already. Evan sat down at the kitchen island like his knees had finally received the memo. It wasn't what you think, he said. You keep saying that, I said. And somehow it keeps becoming worse than what I think. The document was a legal consultation summary, not divorce papers, not custody paperwork, financial liability, medical bills, potential claims after pregnancy loss. I read the words, but they didn't enter cleanly. They hit in pieces. Miscarriage care, emotional distress, communication history. Pending marriage to new partner. That was me. Not Natalie, not fiancé, not woman I love, new partner. I laughed, a small, ugly sound. Wow. Romantic. Brooke put her hand lightly on my shoulder. The next page had notes from an attorney. Client wants assurance former spouse cannot seek reimbursement or publicize timeline prior to wedding. There it was. Not confusion, not grief. Not two people lost in the fog of a difficult ending. Strategy. He had not been torn between two women. He had been managing risk. I looked at Evan. You were worried Claire would embarrass you before the wedding. He swallowed. She was threatening me. Claire's email flashed in my mind. You don't get to make me the villain just because you're ashamed. Threatening you with what? I asked. The truth? He stood. You're 6 months pregnant. This stress isn't good for you. That snapped something. Not loudly. Worse. Quietly. I closed the laptop with one hand. Do not use my pregnancy as a leash. His face changed. Brooke whispered. Good sentence. I ignored her, barely. Evan looked at my belly again, softer now. I don't want to lose my daughter. I believed that. That was the worst part. I believed he wanted her. I just didn't believe he understood what kind of father truth required him to be. I stepped back from the island. You won't lose her because I'm angry, I said. You'll lose access to the easy version of family because you lied. He sat there, breathing hard. For once, no speech arrived, no explanation, no polished sorrow, only the sound of the refrigerator humming like a tired old witness. I picked up Claire's folder. I'm calling an attorney in the morning. Evan blinked. Natalie? No, I said. One word. Tiny. Heavier than the vows had been. I did call an attorney in the morning, not because I was brave. Brave is too clean a word for what I was. I was swollen, furious, nauseous, and wearing one sock because I could not find the other one. Very majestic, very woman reclaiming her life. Brooke drove me because she said my driving face looked legally concerning. The attorney's name was Denise Hart. She had silver hair, calm eyes, and the kind of office where tissues existed but were not offered dramatically. I appreciated that. Nothing makes you feel more doomed than someone silently sliding Kleenex at you like a priest. I told her everything. The restaurant, Claire, the hospital records, the emails, the deleted calendar, the legal review before my wedding. Denise listened without interrupting. She took notes with a blue pen and only raised her eyebrows once, which honestly felt generous considering the material. When I finished, she folded her hands. Natalie, you have choices. I hated how much I needed to hear that. Not orders, not panic, choices. She explained separation, custody planning, financial protection, documentation, medical boundaries before delivery. Nothing dramatic. Nothing revenge-shaped, just structure. Structure felt beautiful, like a chair after standing too long. That afternoon I met Evan in our kitchen with Brooke present and Denise on speaker. Evan looked exhausted. I almost felt sorry for him, almost. Then he opened his mouth. Are you seriously bringing lawyers into our marriage? I looked at him. You brought lies into it first. He flinched. Good. Maybe I was becoming petty. Maybe pregnancy had turned my moral compass into a butter knife. I didn't care. Denise explained the temporary arrangement. Evan could attend medical appointments only if I invited him. Communication would be in writing. No contact through his mother. No surprise visits. No using the baby to force conversations. Evan's face went red. This is my child. Yes, I said, and she is not a hallway you use to get back into the house. For once, he didn't have a comeback. 2 months later, my daughter was born on a rainy Thursday morning. Brooke was there, so was my mother. Evan waited outside until I said he could come in. When he held her, he cried. I let him. Not because everything was healed, because my daughter deserved a father who started learning truth somewhere. We named her Lily Claire Whitmore. Claire sent flowers, no note at first. Then, tucked inside the card, one line, truth is a strange gift, but still a gift. A year later, Lily throws peas at the wall like a tiny criminal with excellent aim. Evan and I co-parent through a shared calendar, written agreements, and zero creative storytelling. Claire and I are not friends in the matching bracelet sense, but every few months, we have coffee. We talk about Lily. Sometimes about grief, sometimes about nothing. The house is quieter now, but it is honest. And I have learned something I wish I had known sooner. A marriage can survive pain. It can even survive history. But it cannot survive a man who keeps editing the truth until every woman around him bleeds from the margins.